Good morning, everyone. My name is Bob Green. I'm one of the senior project managers for the Columbus, US GP practice. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar. It's called Let's Learn Live, and it's a virtual summit. And of course, you guys are all aware today is May 14th of 2019. Get right to it. We have a busy agenda today, and we hope that you've had time to select the webinars that make the most sense for you to attend. The first thing we'll be starting off with is the welcome, which is right now, and the keynote address by Carol Livingston. She's going to talk about building the future of Dynamics GP. At 12 o'clock Eastern, we have two choices for you. What's new in Dynamics GP 2018 R2, and that'll be presented by Vicki Kowaleski. And then cybersecurity, is your Dynamics GP system safe? And that'll be presented by Kevin Dwyer. From 1 o'clock to 1:50, we have a lunch and learn session with our partner sponsors. There are 7 ISV sponsors that will be talking to you for 7 minutes apiece about the latest and greatest with their offerings. And I hope that you have the opportunity to grab a sandwich or whatever you'd like to eat and take a listen to what they have to say. At 2 to 2:50 p.m., we have two other choices for you. Report groups and libraries and the security thereof, oh my, presented by Annette Brown, who's our expert on reporting. And then Dynamics GP, why and when should I upgrade, presented by Lori Ritzer. Lori is our senior project manager that handles the bulk of our upgrades and is very professional at that. So very good to listen to. From 3 o'clock to 3:50, we're going to have GP tips and tricks presented by Tiffany Fluss. I got a preview of this one. You must hear this one. There's some good stuff coming out of there. And then at 3:50 to 4 p.m. Eastern, we'll do a short wrap up. I'll do some reminders, and then we'll close out the day. Moving right along. I would like to say thank you now to our sponsors. These are the folks that will be presenting during the lunch session. Avid Exchange, Avalara, K-Commerce, SalesPad, E1, Binary Stream, and then HighJump. All familiar to you probably, and if they're not familiar to you, I would encourage you to take a little bit of time and listen to them today as they present. Again, that session is from 1 to 1:50 p.m. Eastern Time. CPE credits are something that many of you might be interested in. You can earn up to 4 CPE credits by attending any of today's sessions, other than the lunch and learn. That one doesn't count. To receive the credits, you must attend the webinars as well as complete the online evaluation of the event. That shouldn't take you more than 3 or 4 minutes to do. And the evaluation link will be included in our post-event email, which will be put out by Caitlin. GPUG's coming up, and we'd like to give away one free attendee pass to the User Summit. The summit is October 13th to the 18th in Orlando, Florida. We're going to be there. We hope you come too. If you happen to win the drawing, then we'll give you the attendee pass. I have to say we won't pay for the transportation or the hotel, but we'll get you that pass, and that's worth about $1,000. The drawing will be conducted tomorrow, and the winner will be notified via email and announced on our Twitter account feed. We're actually going to be there in force, and on October 15th, we're going to present a Let's Learn live session live. Tentatively, we're scheduled to present the session at the Gaylord Convention Center, where all these things are going on. We're going to confirm that, and more details will follow really, really soon. We encourage you to ask questions if you have any during the webinars. Caitlin will be monitoring the chats as the webinars are going on. And if you have any questions, you can enter it in there. Each one of the sessions is 50 minutes long, and so we may not have time to address all of the questions. For the questions that we don't have time to address, we will take those offline and get answers back to you. So very simple to do. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Carol Livingston, who's our practice director here at Columbus, US, and she's going to talk to you about building the future of Dynamics GP. Carol, over to you.
All right, thank you, Bobby. So Caitlin will make me presenter, and then we'll begin. So thank you, everyone, for joining today. This is our first time doing our Let's Learn Live virtual We've done this event live in Houston, Minneapolis, Chicago, many locations where we have customers. But we've always heard this is a challenge for customers to get to our locations. And plus it's taking a day out of your busy schedules to attend. So we heard that feedback and decided to present a virtual summit, and you can attend what makes sense for you. You get free CPE, free training, and you don't even have to travel. So good deal in that. All right, so I assume you can see my screen here. Caitlin, can you confirm for me?
Yes, you are all good to go.
Okay, all right, great. So welcome everyone. So today I'm going to talk about something I'm very passionate about, which is the future of GP, Dynamics GP. It's been around for more than 20 years, and it's really a great, robust product. And a lot of customers that I meet with, I'm going to kind of take you through the conversations that I normally have when I go, meet with you as a customer, or talk about, what's the future of GP and what's Microsoft doing with it and what's Columbus's position with it. So I'm gonna kind of pretend you're sitting across from the table from me and we're gonna have a conversation. I do want to remind you that you can ask questions. As Bob said, there's a little question box there, and Caitlin will be monitoring that. And hopefully here at the end, I'll have some time for you to ask some questions. So just a little bit about me. I'm Carol Livingston. I'm the Columbus GP Practice Director. I've been with Columbus for 2 years. I'm a CPA out of Washington State, worked at Ernst & Young, high-tech industry. Previous positions I've held were controller and CFO. So I like to tell people I've been on your side of the table more than my side of the table as a consulting resource. So I think I have a pretty good understanding of what businesses' challenges are and needs. So I think that helps us have a better conversation. I've been working also 13 years as a GP consultant, project manager, services manager. I also forgot to say I was an Intact consultant. That's another ERP software. I've been here 2 years at Columbus, and this is my second year attending Let's Learn Live. But again, like I said, our first virtual event, so very exciting. So I do want to talk about just challenges that businesses are facing today in a global economy. First of all, we're trying to struggle to get that improved customer experience, right? Through e-commerce, using CRM. There's a lot of tools out there to try to reach to customers digitally and virtually. Globalization, our world is shrinking. We're doing more business across time zones and across the globe. And a lot of companies, of course, are growing in the US. Our economy is growing, which is fantastic. But that also presents a lot of challenges. A lot of C-level folks that I talk to are looking ways to increase efficiency, to have their team work more smarter and not harder, but get more value out of their system to help assist their teams. And there's a need for business transparency, have full audit capabilities, to have good accounting controls, and in this world of fraud and so forth. That's really important. And we're finding even small to mid-sized businesses are having a lot more issues around complexity. They're getting Amazoned by their competitors going to Amazon, and they need to be competitive and thoughtful about how they reach their customers and sell their products through their supply chains. So it is getting a complex world, even for all businesses and organizations. And there's a demand for improved IT security. We've seen several of our customers struggle with ransomware and cyber attacks. Recently, we just had 3 customers just in the last month lose their data through encrypted attacks. And these are various challenges, right? Because you think you've got a good backup or a valid process to recover, and you find out that that backup's not quite good enough or current, and you have to go back. And we're seeing that's costing customers lots of, tens of thousands of dollars, just many hours also from their internal staff and IT security firms to help them recover and mitigate those risks. And ensure business continuity. Again, being down and having no software, no system, everything's encrypted. That's not a good feeling. Your team isn't able to work. You're not able to ship products. You're having to go to paper. So these are things that are really challenges in our world today, in compliance and risk management. So what are some of the things we're seeing? So Columbus as a whole, what we're seeing is there's a continued move to the cloud. I think last year we saw an interest in that, people inquiring, but this year it seems like people are getting much more serious about it. We're also seeing a lot of, implementations, new implementations where the people are interested and customers want to go to just directly to a cloud hosting model and move away from buying servers and having infrastructure and even outsourcing their IT for ongoing services. And the other thing is that, as I talk with CFOs, CIOs, they're really pleased with GP as their ERP platform, but they're interested in how to maximize their investment and how to optimize and utilize the capabilities. They already own a lot in GP, and what I'm finding is a lot of customers aren't using it. So, and there's a lot of new technologies that Microsoft has offered to GP customers. Maybe it feels like that it's not modern technology just because it's 20 years old, but there is more technology being added every day. So what are those frequently asked? And I said frequently asked burning questions because it's not just a question, it's a burning question. And these are some of the questions that I hear. Is GP going away? Well, I'll address that here in a minute, but it's not going away anytime soon. What is the GP roadmap and how far out does it extend? They're wondering, is GP still going to be supported? Is it still going to have new versions and so forth? Has Microsoft stopped developing GP? Well, at this point, they are still doing enhancements and they are offering modern technology and wrapping it around GP. So they haven't forgotten GP and they're still developing enhancements. In fact, every version, we're still surprised on how many new enhancements and suggestions that they're taking from users. One of my favorites is workflow with document attached. I mean, what a great thing to be able to get approvals digitally and electronically attached documents. That's all in GP. You will own that. Are there new releases of GP plan? Yes, there are. Pretty much the roadmap looks similar to it did several years ago, where they had 1 or 2 years and beyond on their roadmap. That hasn't really changed. They're still keeping the same cadence. How should we plan for the next 5 to 10 years? I think that's one of the biggest burning questions is if there is a roadmap for GP, how far out is it, 5 or 10 years? And really kind of once we kind of look at the roadmap and talk about, what are you seeing that GP is not meeting your needs, or is it? And it's not about whether or not GP is meeting needs. What I'm finding is the question is that, feeling maybe not supported into the future and Microsoft focusing on other things. And is GP going to be replaced by Dynamics 365 Business Central? This is probably the most confusion that Microsoft has caused. It's the new bright, shiny object. It is something that just released this last year, had many names, Tanarif, earlier names, Business Edition. So they've been through a few iterations of this, and I think this time they've got it right. But GP is not going to be replaced anytime soon by it. It is part of the cloud strategy that Microsoft has, but it's not replacing GP by any means. So what is the future of GP? You can see this person over here on the right has a lot of questions. Is Great Plains dead? Is Microsoft going to force us to go to the cloud? Is Business Central different from GP, and is Business Central really ready for the market? As we know, version 1 of anything Microsoft can be a challenge. So, recent announcements of Microsoft focusing on Business Central is causing confusion. If you call Microsoft or you look on their website, really pretty much you don't find a whole lot unless you dig, about GP. So that is their marketing engine, putting that messaging out there. But it really is interesting from a Microsoft perspective, and they still value and want to support and keep GP customers. Organizations are looking to minimize cost by moving to a subscription model or a SaaS model. That's kind of the old CapEx versus OpEx question, right? Should I invest and buy my own servers and my own licenses and, own the product? Or should I go through a SaaS model and pay on a OpEx basis or operating costs, a monthly, basically rental or subscription? Companies are looking for more modern solutions that support a digital transformation in their business operations. And one of the interesting things I noted or I found is Gardner Group, they do this annual study, top insights for the C-suites. And what they said is that 2/3 of CEOs expect their companies to significantly change their business models in response to digital technologies. And they already have initiatives underway to make their businesses more digital. So there is definitely an interest by organizations looking to augment what they're doing with technology. Partners are diversifying, adding other cloud-based ERP solutions and losing focus on their GP customers. We see this pretty often now with mergers of different partners, and partners also diversifying, just really adding other cloud-based ERP and hedging, not necessarily focused on Microsoft Dynamics, but hedging and adding other products. And I understand this. Like I said, I was an Intech consultant as well as a GP consultant, and those newer ERP cloud-based solutions, that takes time for those products to mature, and they also take investment. So that's a distraction, and frankly, I think customers are feeling abandoned by their partners who aren't necessarily paying attention and reducing their cost around GP support. And Microsoft desires GP customers to stay with Microsoft and the Microsoft stack. They actually want to help customers move to the cloud and help them on their journey as they're ready. It's interesting because the marketing messaging out there is definitely confusing, but actually Microsoft is very much there offering technology, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. Kind of a hybrid model, if you will, of moving from being on-premise to the cloud. So they're very much interested in helping with this journey. So what's the future of GP? GP is not going away, at least anytime soon. We see that it has very robust and robust features. There's a number of modules and things that now are just part of the product. It used to be you had to buy all that separately and they charged an arm and a leg. Well, now it's fairly inexpensive to get licenses and you get a bundle of capabilities. And if you think about it, if it's over 20 years old, I mean, maybe even closer to 30, if you go back to the DOS version of Dynamics, there's 20 plus years of upgrades and features and updates that they've added to that product. That has to be make it a very stable and robust product. And really the GP ecosystem around GP with ISVs and add-ons, that they've really taken a big leap in helping customers become more modern. K-ecommerce, for example, one of our sponsors today, they've done a lot to help extend customer experience through their products and e-commerce and payment portal solutions. SalesPad, there's another solution that's a great add-in that helps streamline order entry, warehouse management, and so forth. So a lot of great ISVs out there have made GP even better. And Dynamics customers tend to be the most stable, loyal customer base of all business applications. I did some research and trying to find out what is the official number of how many customers Microsoft has. Well, we know it's large, too large for Microsoft to ignore. I've heard anything from 35,000 to 50. So I'm going to say if there's 50,000 customers out there, that's huge. and a huge annual maintenance revenue for Microsoft. I heard $1 billion in annual maintenance. That business application is really, really significant to Microsoft, and they care about keeping those customers and providing value. So, and what's interesting too is with NetSuite customer base, it's probably less than 50,000. I've seen different numbers, but we're seeing it's probably, maybe two times. Microsoft is two times that with GP. Acumatica, we're probably 10 times the number of customers they have. Intac, it's probably 5 times. So still larger than other cloud ERPs for the mid-market. There is an upcoming major version to be released this year. We've been looking forward to another version release, a major release this year. Don't know what they're going to call it yet. They had some debates internally here. Is it GP 2019? Is it 2020? But they still continue to have that release cycle every 2.5 years, a major release, and in between an R2 or a half release. So that's still on their roadmap. And if you think about the life cycle, each of those have 5 years of mainstream support. So you're looking for 5 years of, is Microsoft going to support it? It's already in the plans. And as I said, they are providing new releases from 2020 and beyond in their roadmap, and I'll show that here in a minute. The support and strength of the GP community is really the largest ISV ecosystem of all the Dynamics products, AX, Nav, Business Central. That the GPUG and user community is really active. If you haven't joined GPUG, I really encourage it. There's a lot of benefits and training and networking. A lot of passionate people out there ready to help. So I really encourage you to think about that. But the Dynamics communities have also gone on to offer professional credentialing. They've done a lot to help our communities continue learning and growing and bringing our community along. And then, what I see is that a lot of people have this huge investment or this investment in Dynamics, and it's working well for them, but they want to know how can they maximize their current investment. That's really important. And moving to the cloud, that's not out of the question with GP. There's different models that we have seen. We've seen folks move from on-premise and migrate to the cloud when they're upgrading, or just migrate to the cloud when their servers are maybe aging, or they need to think about updating SQL. That's a good time to think about, should I move to the cloud? What's my strategy? What's the next thing? But do it on your own terms. You're not forced to be on the cloud. You're not forced to upgrade by any means. It is, but there are options. There's SaaS options. There's hosting options. So definitely something to think about as you're looking at the future in your environment. And as I mentioned earlier, Microsoft is adding newer technology to GP. So there's the Power Platform, if you've heard of this, Power BI, that's another reporting tool that Microsoft has added. Power Apps and Flow, which is some really great tools, and partners are starting to see ways that they can help customers extend what they're doing with GP and these tools. So these are newer technologies that they've added. In the last version of GP 2018 R2 release, they added Intelligent Edge, which is really just pulling data up into the cloud. So if you want to play with the cloud and see your data out there in the cloud and play with, some of the reporting tools that they have, Microsoft is already building in that. In this next release, we're expecting much more data, transactional history to be pulled in, and that will get more interesting with AI, machine learning. I went to a conference recently with Microsoft partners talking about AI, machine learning, and there's some really interesting things that can be done with predicting results in your future with your information. So that's another way to kind of have that cloud experience without fully moving into the cloud. So Microsoft Dynamics GP roadmap. So if you look here, because starting back on 2016, version 2016, in 2016, You can see that every year they have had either a major release or a half release. I like to call it a half release, but R2 usually comes with a lot of features. It's still an upgrade when you go to that version, but we now have in the current version that's been released last fall was 2018 R2 that came out fall of 2018. A lot of usability and top feature requests. Again, that intelligent cloud, intelligent edge was introduced there. And then GP 2019 or next, I don't know if it's 2019, 2020. Hello, Microsoft. What are you going to call it? We don't know. But in that, we're expecting, again, more enhancements around that intelligent cloud. And then 2020 and beyond, really, there's new versions still planned. So if you add 5 years on to 2019 or 2020, that's the amount of time right now. But this is not untypical of the 2 years out on a roadmap from Dynamics or from Microsoft. This has been pretty typical for years. So one of the questions I thought we should address or talk about is D365 Business Central, and should you be looking at moving sooner than later? So again, this was released in the cloud last year in 2018. It's the new cloud-based ERP that Microsoft has launched. It's based on really the NAV code base. And Nav, even this year, was rebranded to D365 Business Central on-premise. So not to be confused with Business Central on the cloud. So you might hear BC on the cloud or Business Central and as I go forward here. So BC is based on the Dynamics Nav code base. So it's not like they went out and rewrote something. They took something and I thought this was a pretty smart move from Microsoft's perspective, where they took an existing code base for the mid-market that has a lot of features and functionality. It's really identical code base. They've kind of tweaked it a bit in terms of what you see when you go to Business Central at this point in time, but there is basically no difference on the Nav code that they're used. And there's a lot of ISVs around the Nav product, but those ISVs aren't all ready to have third-party products. And so, we're kind of in a little bit of a waiting period while those ISVs determine, kind of the right timing for going to create those third-party products. We're starting to see more movement that way. And Business Central is both on-premise and in the cloud. A lot of ERP cloud solutions are only cloud, and you don't have the option of being on-premise and then migrating to cloud later, or but going forward, Microsoft has said that Business Central in the cloud, that's the version that's going to receive the newest features. So over time, that on-premise version will probably need to be upgraded and migrated to the cloud. And one of the things I think that is an advantage of the Nav, or formerly known Nav, now Business Central, is that they have dimensions, and their chart of accounts really is in an account string. Like GP has account string with segments, and that works really well. But the dimensions, that's really one of the kind of the new ways to tag transactions with different categories for reporting. So what is Business Central not? Well, it's not an upgrade. It really is a new implementation. There isn't an upgrade path, at least at this point in time, to Business Centrals. It's kind of like, I heard this at one of the conferences I was at, it's apples and coconuts. It's really not the same as GP. It's not, a lot of the structure and things have to be reconfigured to move into Business Central. So there is cost and there is disruption. It is an implementation. This is version 1 of the Microsoft release, but they'll develop more features over time. I'm sure, if they had 20 years history like we do with GP, it would be a lot of features and functionality. Business Central doesn't have all the functionality in standard GP, like Smart List or Positive Pay. Those I just learned recently. Those were just added to Business Central. And so, things that we take for granted and love, I think Smart List is the best thing ever. They just added those features just recently, Microsoft did. And there's lots of partners entering the Microsoft channel just to sell BC. It seems like it's a fairly open marketplace now for partners, and not so much do you need to have competencies or the skills to implement or know anything about ERP. It's kind of amazing. I think I heard something like there's 5 partners a day or 500 per month, joining the Microsoft channel to sell Business Central. So there's a lot of partners out there that might sell it, but they don't really know what to do after that. They might be an infrastructure partner or focusing on something else, and Microsoft allows them to sell it too. And we're finding that GP customers they're kind of the ones that are evaluating it and saying, well, I want to look at and evaluate. We're just not finding a compelling reason. We're saying, well, what is it that you're missing from GP? And we're doing a requirements analysis, and really the cost and the timing and, various reasons, it just doesn't make sense for some customers. We actually had one customer come to us from another partner that they had moved to Business Central and they lacked so many functionality that they expected to be there, like is in GP, that they ended up going back. They came to us and we moved them back to GP. So that's kind of a lot of cost and a lot of challenges, and they put out money to implement a ERP software. So really kind of looking at your requirements and thinking about what are the reasons that you would want to move to a new ERP system. So where are you at on your cloud journey? If I kind of look at this, I see it in the three buckets. Customers that are on premise right now, they have their server in the back room or in the data center, and they don't particularly want to move to the cloud, or they don't want to give control up. They see that server in their closet and they feel like more secure because they can see it. Or maybe customers are staying on premise because of compliance or regulations, and they just feel like their data is more secure behind their own firewall, and they have highly skilled IT departments that can manage, security updates and hacking and so forth. And another reason is, well, they just completed their upgrade or invested in new servers. I mean, you just spent money on servers you probably don't want to move anytime soon. So, complete that, cycle of investment. And then kind of this middle area is kind of a cloud state, because that baby step, I guess, or hybrid step into moving to the cloud. You're not sure about the cloud, but you kind of want to try it, right? It seems like that's where all your other systems are going. But maybe, you have budget constraints, it costs money, it's a disruption and moving to the cloud, migrating. And maybe you want to move, but there's technical challenges that you're facing. Maybe you're waiting for an ISV to be compatible, or maybe you have customizations that, there's many reasons just to get that move right. And then lastly, interested, cloud, there's a lot of companies coming out with their cloud first, initiatives. Everything must be in the cloud, and that's where everything they want. And it really is lowering cost for organizations, and their IT organizations are really outsourcing a lot of that service to their hosting provider or to their cloud vendor. And they're looking for integrated and modern solutions. So, and then the other thing is that, since you implemented your software, maybe your needs have changed. The economy's become more of a digital, technologies and facing challenges with that, integrating. So those needs have changed. And, we've also seen people having experience with data or security problems on-prem. A couple years ago, we had some customers move to the cloud when Hurricane Harvey hit Houston. That was a good reason to get out of their server that was on the ground about to be flooded. Other businesses we've seen have been hit by cybersecurity, and even data centers have been hit by cybersecurity. We just had very large ransomware hit one of our significant hosting partners. So, there's a lot of considerations, and you could look at, you might start here today, and maybe you take a baby step and move to the cloud through like the intelligent edge. and have your data in the cloud, or maybe do a full-on migration to the cloud. So what is the future of GP at Columbus? So, I want to talk about Columbus's commitment. Unlike a lot of partners, Microsoft and GP is very important to Columbus. Out of our US business is probably almost half of our US revenue. So it's very important to Columbus as a company, and uh, we're actively involved in supporting the user community. We feel like this is such a strong product around the community. We're very involved. We do support them with academy trainers. We have chapter speakers go to local chapters and speak. We're sponsoring at the GP Summit. So we're pretty involved with the community, and we'll continue to be. We're on committees and so forth. Columbus continues to offer GP training at our training centers in Houston. I don't know if you realize we have a training classroom in Houston and Phoenix, and we do live training. That's a great way to send somebody to learn, a new module if they're new. We do web training, and we also do customer events like this Let's Learn Live event today. And we do offer, if you're thinking about the cloud, it's not like that you're excluded from this. We offer different paths to the clouds and along with other business Microsoft solutions, Office 365 and CRM and other Microsoft business solutions that are in the cloud. But there's different ways to get to the cloud. So, think about what makes sense for you and have that conversation with us to help you decide. And Columbus offers customer assessments. We come in, we do a process review of your environment, we make a recommendation. This is probably the most time I spend on, not so much now that we know Microsoft is still developing, Microsoft will still have new releases. Now it's about, am I maximizing, am I optimizing my solution? Do I have the best practices in my environment? That's where we can come in and really help you and kind of evaluate just with an unbiased look at knowing what other people in your industry do or your organization, whether it's not for profit or for profit. We have lots of customers. And so we can really kind of come in and help you look at your processes, talk to your users, get those recommendations down, and help you develop that roadmap so you can maximize the next 5-10 years what you're doing with your GP investment. And lastly, of course, I have to make a plug that, our vision is to be the #1 GP partner in the US. There's a lot of partners out there leaving the Microsoft channel for other products. And so, we're the opposite. We're actually going to grow. We've added more people and more investment and capabilities on our team to help support customers. So Columbus and GP, we look at ourselves as a safe harbor. We're really, and I'll talk about Columbus global because Columbus in the US probably isn't as well known globally, but we are part of one of the largest GP partners in the US with the highest partner status with Microsoft. We were the Inner Circle 2018-19 winner again this year. That's a couple years in a row. We've had many awards with Microsoft. Columbus is also #2 on Bob Scott's annual VAR list, which is a list that looks at all the different VARs across all of the ERP solutions and ranks them, and we've consistently been in the top 2 of that. We have a dedicated and highly skilled team to deliver services and support for GPA. I can't say enough about our team, their expertise, the skills that we have, the experience. We did a little survey last year and found out our team has like probably 800 years combined experience. I mean, that's a lot of knowledge, and we help each other support our clients and care for our clients. So you can be sure of that. We're growing our GP team. We're adding new people. We are picking up quite a few of the consultants out there that are part of the confusion and emerging partners that are going through their mergers and acquisitions. We have a customer care team. It's growing. We're adding capabilities and specialties and certifications on our team. We're not stopping. We are becoming even better in our delivery and our skills. And Columbus can support and you maximizing your GP investment. If I sit back and I think about when I was a CFO, I wasn't really, if I had something that worked and it was great for the audit, and I always had passed my audits, and I could do my job efficiently and effectively, and there was always new tools that I could just add in or tweak or learn. I was more interested in keeping that software, frankly, and trying to maximize the investment that I had in it. So, looking at how can you optimize what you're doing. How do you move into this digital technology, era? And what enhancements can you do? What integrations do you need? There's so many customers that are finding challenges around adding other software around GP and integrating it, and we can help you with that. Columbus also offers capabilities and options to move to GP on the cloud. I think I've already covered that one. And one of the things I think is kind of really nice about Columbus or cool is that we are a one-stop vendor. There's no need for multiple partners. If you need to move to the cloud, you don't need to go to an IT partner. We can do that for you. We can manage that environment for you ongoing. If you need, BI and AI capabilities and technology, we have a team of experts that know that. You don't need to go hire a BI expert. So we really do have more than just a GP vendor mind. And Columbus is a safe harbor. It is a good place to go and stay forever. We want to be a lifetime partner. We want to be customers to come and stay with us forever. So my little phrase around GP rocks has kind of resonated. I last year was thinking about GP, and I'd come from other ERP cloud-based solutions as well, and I was like, you know what, GP rocks. It really does. It has a lot of function and features. It really has it's a great product. So now let me kind of switch gears and tell you a little bit about Columbus. So sometimes people don't know who Columbus is in the U.S., but I want to just explain we're part of a global organization that has over 2,000 employees. You can see here, we have 24/7 support. We just celebrated our 30th year anniversary. We're not new by any means. We have 4,000, I heard now closer to 5,000 customers worldwide. You can see many awards from Microsoft and Inner Circle winner. So we really are a very solid Microsoft partner. And Columbus also has what we call a 5-year strategy, Columbus 2020, and it really connects these dots between customer success, moving into the digital transformation, process excellence, and our people to help you make that happen. We also have a lot more than just ERP. You can see here, that's one of what we call our 9 doors of digital leadership. We have business application integration, we have customer experience, whether it's e-commerce, CRM, we have analytics and business insight, machine learning, AI, all of those buzzwords. We've got that on our team across the world. We have a very robust infrastructure team that does cloud and Office 365 and a lot of things outside of what you would think is a traditional ERP vendor. We're much more than that. So we go on. So when you have the aspiration to transform, maximize, future-proof your digitally, then Columbus, we feel like we're the right partner and GP is the right product. So do we have any questions?
We do not have any questions right now, but I'll kind of wait a moment to see if any kind of trickle in here.
Okay.
Ah, yes, we did get a great information. Thank you. So.
Well, thank you. Thank you for joining today. And I hope you do take advantage of the other sessions today. There's a lot of great learning. Our ISVs, our sponsors, these are some of our very best and preferred vendors. So I encourage you to come and listen to them and how they can help future-proof your business. So Caitlin, anything else?
We did have a couple questions come here at the end. So let's see. The first question is, will moving to the cloud help offset IT department costs?
So that's a very good question. So what I've seen is some companies still have IT staff, but then they can focus that IT staff on not maintaining servers and patches and backups. They pretty much outsource that to us as a managed service provider and hosting provider in the cloud. So a lot of that can be taken off your plate. That can reduce costs or help focus on more strategic initiatives that your company may have. But it can be looked at as a way to reduce costs, but it can also you can look at it a way to, kind of enhance your ability to do other things with your staff.
Okay, our next question is, how much longer will GP 2015 be supported?
So let's see, Nancy, do you have that off the top of your head? I want to say 2020 or 21.
I can answer that.
Okay, thank you, Lori.
April of 2020.
2020. So 5 years after so that's next year. So good question.
Okay, our
Any
next
other?
question. Yes, we have a couple more coming in. Is Citrix still the best way to use GP in the cloud?
Citrix. What we typically see is remote desktop or terminal server. Citrix is definitely an option. Sometimes a little bit more challenging because you have to have some skills in managing that Citrix environment. But definitely we're seeing both. But I would say, more of the enterprise level companies tend to go to Citrix, and more that, smaller businesses tend to use the terminal server or remote desktop.
Okay, and I think we have time for one more question. Will the cloud...
Hey, sorry, before you go on, Lori, do you have any comments on that Citrix? Because Lori's our upgrade expert. Do you have any comments on Citrix?
I do not in the Azure environment.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, that's all right. Thank you. Next question.
Okay, and our last question for today, if you just to let everyone know, if you have additional questions, feel free to keep entering them. We will definitely follow up with you after the webinar. But this last question is, will the cloud version of Dynamics help us keep current with the Dynamics upgrades?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Yes. Will the cloud version of Dynamics help us keep current with Dynamics GP upgrades?
So the cloud version of GP is just GP. So whether you're on premise or in the cloud, there isn't really a difference in the version. Unless you're in a multi-tenant environment, and those are kind of like, say you're sharing or renting a GP version altogether. But in most customers are going to a dedicated or private domain on the cloud. And so it's just as if you had it in your server room. It's now hosted outside of your server room in the cloud at a data center, for example. So it really could help you in that you can keep more capabilities off your servers, and that might give you the ability to expand and add things, but it doesn't really change whether or not you're on the current version or not, if that makes sense. A lot of the cloud ERP software is the current version that they're on today. That's not really the cloud strategy for GPs. Really, you're just hosting it somewhere else.
Okay, so if there are any additional questions that come up, please feel free to reach out to our team. We're at the end of, well, I guess it's not really the top of the hour, but it's the end of our 50 minutes, and we want to give everyone time to go on to the next set of webinars that we have coming up if you're signed up. Our next two webinars are What's New in Dynamics GP 2018 R2, as well as Cybersecurity is Your Dynamics GP System Safe. So thank you again, everyone, and thank you, Carol, for providing us with this great insight into the future of Dynamics GP. And we look forward to seeing you on your next Let's Learn Live Virtual Summit webinar.
All right. Thank you. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.
Thank you.